everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Recovery Scene. My name is Lesley. I'm your host. Make sure to hit that subscribe and that like button. Tonight, we've got something really cool. It is a round table. I have never, ever been on one of these before, nor have I facilitated one. So this should be really cool, and it's going to be really easy because I have some awesome people on here. Mike, Nicole, Sal, and Erin have all been kind enough to come on here, and we're going to start talking about I guess, a really hot, touchy subject right now, especially going around TikTok. So it's if you are on MAT, medically assisted treatment. And you know what? I was going to have Mike go first, but I think I'm actually going to have Nicole go first, because what I would like is for Nicole to explain to people what MAT is and what it entails, and then we'll move on to our questions, if everybody's cool with that. All right, so Nicole, could you just give us, I'm sorry to be like, oh, by the way, you're first, but could you kind of give us a rundown of what MAT is?
MAT is medication-assisted treatment, and the type of medication-assisted treatment that I utilize is Suboxone. I think it's really important to say that medication-assisted treatment is not just taking Suboxone. And medication-assisted treatment is wraparound treatment. So you're going to be on your medication, you're going to be involved in some kind of recovery support program and counseling or therapy. So it has to be all those things combined. And that's the way the clinic that I enrolled in when I got on Suboxone operates. And if you're going and you got a solid doctor, that's the way it needs to be, because just taking a medication isn't going to change anything. I've done that many a times, tried to change medications when I was in my active addiction, and I'm not going to take Xanax, I'm just going to take hydrocodones, and I just shifted my addiction. And that's what I hear a lot of people say. They'll say, well, Nicole, isn't taking medication assisted treatment just changing addictions, right? And so that's why I think it's important to differentiate. Like, medication assisted treatment is a wraparound treatment, medication, therapy, and some kind of recovery support program.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so our first question that we've gotten a lot from TikTok, and Mike, I'm going to have you speak on it first. Can you attend, speak at, and or run an NA meeting, a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, if you are on MAT?
Okay, so my personal experience, I say yes, right? First and foremost, yes. My explanation, so I've worked an NA program. Right now, I work with a different fellowship. However, and I have personal experience with MAT myself. And just to quickly just explain how it worked for me, it didn't work for me, but that's just me. Like, Nicole talked about what the program offers of clinics and things like that. However, see, I didn't do that. I never changed the behaviors behind my addiction and who I truly was. So it was still manipulation. I was, trying to maintain doing other things, still giving dirty urines for other things in the clinic. Like, I didn't utilize it as a tool. It was a complete crutch, in that sense. So I look back and of course I know why it didn't work. Like, I never addressed, the therapy, the actual IOP program. I simply went to get medicated and left, and that was it. That's all it was to me, was medication, in the hopes that it would be like some kind of miracle drug. But I'm still that same asshole if I put down a bottle or put down a needle and I don't work on myself. I'm still that same guy with the same behaviors, same person. So, but I think if it's used as a tool, and hopefully your goal would be, in the long run, abstinence in the long run. If that doesn't work out, so be it, whatever gets you another day. Like, my overall look at, like, I'm not judgmental whatsoever towards MAT, because I've done Suboxone for 2 years. I was on a methadone maintenance program for 5 years, and I failed miserably because I still never gave myself to an actual program with it, whether that be just therapy, which I didn't do any of. I didn't speak in the groups that we had in IOP. I wasn't working a fellowship. I just simply took the medication and that was it. So nothing changed. But like I said, I'm not judgmental whatsoever about any MAT, as long as you use it the way it should be used. You know what I mean? And even when I started using these things, I was very manipulative. So I manipulated the doctors. Like, it's not holding me. It's not enough, because I still wanted that euphoria. I still wanted the sense of being high from taking that medication. So I just kept up and up and up in my doses, which just leads right back to, because I wasn't working on myself and saying like, okay, I surrender to drugs and alcohol completely. Let me work a program for a year or so while I take this to build a foundation, and then taper myself off of that, and hopefully one day wake up and be abstinent. Because just for me, abstinence is just what works for me. But that's also when I finally gave myself to an actual 12-step program, which also isn't everybody's, cup of tea or certain road to recovery. Everybody's unique, I think, for sure. But as long, I don't see, and there's definitely a lot of hatred, and it's just opinions is all it is. Like, everybody's got an opinion, and some stink, period. Like, I'm sorry, but if you're taking my inventory, like, you should probably look in the mirror. Anybody pointing a finger, there's 3 pointing back, period. So like, I feel like even in the rooms of NA, I go to NA, I'm in meetings, and if someone says you can't be here because listen, at the end of the day, the only thing we need to participate and be a part of these fellowships is the willingness to stop. Whether even if you come in high on drugs, like, as long as you have the willingness, you're welcome, period, at the end of the day. So I think whoever says you can't do this or cannot do that, like, if you're not robbing anyone anymore, you're not stealing, you're not hurting your family, you're living a productive life, you're a stand-up citizen, you're working, you're taking care of your kids, you're doing all these things, and that's what helped you get there, more power to you. Like, keep going, like, whatever gets you that next 24. And
Right.
like, if people want to be judgmental and do that, then I don't sit that high. That's not my place to judge anyone. There's one ultimate authority to me, and he's not of this world. So I think people are just judgmental and based off like, okay, if it works for you, all right. If they don't take it, well, good for you. But like, some people are, what we would call chronic relapsers, or like habitual offenders that tried and got, 7 days, 14 days, 30 times, and just can't get it. And if that's what they need as a foundation to move forward, God bless you.
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly. Thanks,
more
Mike.
power to, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Erin, I wanted to move to you because I believe you are in the NA fellowship. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay. So I wanted you to speak on that, but I also wanted to talk about what the NA literature says about being on medication under the supervision of a doctor, the way Nichole was describing.
So yes, it does say if you're under the supervision of a doctor, then you're good. However, they are actually in the process of writing something new. The World Foundation for NA is in the process right now, like as we speak, writing something up about Matt that I've heard from many people.
How do you feel about that?
I'm cool with it. I mean, we were talking about this. I was on Vivitrol for 4 months. That is Matt. I decided to stop taking it, but that was just my decision. I mean, I would have had no problem going back to it if I needed it. But for me, I didn't need it anymore. I felt like I didn't need it anymore, and I haven't needed it. However, who am I to tell somebody what they need? First of all. Second of all, I run an NA meeting at nightly. And like I said, we're going to start having people who are on Matt come in. I think it's important. I think it's important for people to hear other people on it and their experiences, especially for newcomers who are on it. But exactly what Mike said, if somebody told me that I was not clean because I was taking Vivitrol, I would love for somebody to tell me I had to change my clean date. Not happening.
Yeah, exactly.
taking it as prescribed. I think taking it as prescribed, as you know, there's always ways around every single thing to go ahead and abuse anything that you want to. There's ways around it. You can abuse whatever. But if you're taking it the way it's prescribed by a doctor, I see absolutely zero issue with it. And if it's keeping you from putting a needle in your arm, a pipe to your lip, a glass to your whatever, then by all means, do what you got to do to stay, you know, having a good life and being able to do the things you weren't able to do before.
Right. Now, what is NA? What are they trying to change? What are they thinking they're going to write about?
I don't know the full details, but I do know somebody who is, you know, intertwined with that, with the World Foundation. I think that's how it's called, whatever. But regardless, he knows, and he's very, very knowledgeable on these things. And he, you know, spoke to me actually not too long ago, a few days ago, about this, and how they are right now writing something into it. So there will be some kind of revision to it with Matt.
To accept Matt, or
yes, yep.
Yeah, because I mean, it more and more and more as the science of recovery continues to evolve. We are going to see more and more and more people on Matt, you know, and harm reduction, and you know, even if we hate it, Cali sober. I mean, it's going to happen, you know, especially now. Thank you, Demi Lovato. Anyway, so yeah, that's very well said. So I'm going to move to Sal, because you haven't chimed in yet. You're not getting out of this, Sal. What do you think? What do you think about Matt?
I fully support it, 100%. I too am very similar to Mike and his experience with Matt. I used it as a crutch and not a tool. I'm a substituter, and I'm a chronic substituter. So if one substance was not either producing what I wanted it to do, or it had produced too much, I would move on to the next substance, and always had alcohol along the lines the whole way. And so I went from taking, you know, massive amounts of oxycodones to going right into subs, because I wanted to stop. And I saw people doing this in the, you know, in late 2012, early 2013. And my experience is that I started using Suboxone and I stopped drinking. But then, because I'm an addict, like, I just one day woke up and decided to use other drugs because I'm a substituter. But, you know, as far as Matt is concerned, I fully support it. I do, you know, like Nichole had mentioned earlier, some people are going to be on Matt, you know, for the rest of their lives. But hey, they're not dying from medically assisted treatment. They're living.
There you are.
Right. And so I believe that, you know, people get sober to add life to their days. And I believe that Matt helps add life to their days, because they're not dying from their DOC. And, you know, and if they're not dying, then that's a great thing, right? Because they're living. And and so it and for me, my personal experience, I was taught I work in AA program. My elders in my home group, you know, said, you know, try to purely abstain. But they never. Now, I will say, when I first went into the rooms, like, I talked about drugs in an AA meeting, and I was almost like kicked out because I overtalked and I was a mess. But a lot of people that I'm affiliated with in my area are old timers, and there's a lot of young people that purely abstain. But that's their story, and that's my story. But I also talk to a lot of people that are on Matt and they're living. And that's my point, is that people on Matt are living. I support them. And, you know, maybe one day they don't want to be on it. And I obviously fully support that as well. I think the goal is to kind of climb up that mountain, you know?
Right.
So
Right.
that's my
All right,
take
so-
on it.
Thank you, Sal. I'm going to head back over to Nicole, and I want to ask you to start, and you are the best person to start, being that you are in the program. How often, whether it's in real life or TikTok or whatever it is, do you deal with "you're not clean"? You're not clean.
Oh my God, all the time. All the time. That's why I started telling my story. It was a year after I had a year sober, because my sponsor, of course, I asked her when I could share, and she said, you need to wait till you have a year because you ain't got nothing to say. And so I listened to what she said. And in 2016, I started sharing my story on Facebook. And you would have thought that I was like, you would have thought I was Little Nas sliding down the stripper pole to hell, because everybody was like, gasp, she's saying she's in recovery on Suboxone.
Clutch my pearls.
Yes, they were clutching their pearls, girl. And I was like, that was my truth. And I've always been somebody who's not going to lie about it. And here's the thing. I know in my heart of hearts that I'm doing the right thing. I'm taking my medication as prescribed. I'm active in a recovery program. I'm helping others. And when it comes down to it, like, we have to be honest with ourselves. There's people out there, they know in their hearts if they're taking their Suboxone or their methadone and they're abusing it. You know what I mean? And the only person that we're hurting when we do that is ourselves. We're just holding ourselves back. But yeah, I've experienced it a million trillion times. Every single day on my TikTok, I get a comment from somebody who doesn't know that I've been involved in a 12-step program and worked the 12 steps. They don't know that I work in recovery in the treatment industry. They don't, and they think that I'm just, it's like they just judge before they get the whole story. And I promise you guys, if I could have gotten sober through abstinence, I would have. I tried for over 10 years. I was in and out of treatment. I ended up losing custody of my son, and that was the thing that brought me to my knees. And I knew I needed to change something up and do something different. And that is why I tried Suboxone. But I was so against it because of what I had been taught for so long about it not being recovery. And that kept me from getting on Suboxone and getting on MAT earlier, which could have saved my life. And I might have never even lost custody of my son if I had actually given it a try early. And so that's what I want people to understand that are saying these things, is that they're deterring people from life-saving treatment.
Mm.
What about the moms out there that are like, well, everybody else says Suboxone and methadone are bad and they're addicting, so I'm not going to do that. And they are trying, just like I was, to get sober, and not succeeding. And then they die, and their kids have no mom, or they're somebody's daughter, and they, that's what I don't think people understand. That our words carry so much weight, especially when we're in recovery and people are looking up to us because they're hearing us. That's why I try to be so careful when I talk about things. I just don't want to be the person who planted a seed in someone's mind to not try and get help if they need it. You know what I mean? Right. So I try to be really open-minded, but I get judgment all the time. I'm used to it by now, though.
Well, you said something really powerful, and if you're not a Christian, it's cool, but I know that a couple of us are, and it does say the power of life and death is in the tongue. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not, because words have weight, words have power, and you can hurt somebody so much more with your words than your fists. Because, you hit somebody, that heals. But the scarring of being bullied, of people saying hurtful things, those things stay. They affect who we are inside. And so, yeah, as people who are in recovery, we have to be very careful what we say and how we say, like your mama says, it's not what you say, it's how you say it, so I'm going to go to Mike. So what do you think about when people are coming at people, like Nichole, who, clearly has a head on her shoulders. Clearly, she's working for Dr. B. She has a podcast. she's obviously living her best life. Actually, I don't think she is. I think there's best is yet to come. She's going places. I think we all know this. So what do you think when you hear stuff like that being said to her?
Yeah, first of all, the best is still yet to come, by the way, for everybody, also everyone in here, without a doubt. There's no question about that. And just to quickly just go back about what you said, yeah, listen, our mouths are a creative weapon, and they are not, it is not intended to be used for judgment, negativity, and all these things. Words are definitely powerful for sure, and it's definitely the way you say things, not necessarily what you say. But yeah, like all the naysayers, like all those people that want to judge and say, like, honestly, I feel like what Nicole's doing, how she's living her life, like she's doing what she needs to be doing, you know, to live this productive life she has and gain the things she actually has and everything. And it's funny because a lot of the people that make these judgments and say all these things clearly are not working their own program very thoroughly if they have something to say about it. You know, it just goes to show you. I know people that are on MET, just like Nicole said, and like clearly are doing the right things, and it's about their walk, you know, not what they're talking about, like the way that they walk in their recovery. And I find sometimes these people are stronger in their recovery than some people that are abstinent. You know, I just don't think anybody should judge. Is it going to continue to happen? Absolutely, no question. But like, then, you know, obviously Nicole has thick skin. She's used to it. She's used to being, you know, hearing that, and it sucks. But you know, it's like, and then you just got to try to not hold resentment towards these people and forgive them for what they say, because at the end of the day, you can only wish for them what you hope upon yourself. And just real quick, just to go back about, you know, MAT period, like when I got clean and sober, there wasn't Vivitrol or Sublocade. It was the pills, you know, it was the pills of Suboxone, and Subutex. You know, there's also the Vivitrol and the Sublocade. So like, for me, it was a behavior change I had to make. I had to change everything, but it started with my behavior. So if I, you know, maybe back then, if Sublocade was available or Vivitrol was available to me, and I was able to take that just once a month, and instead of, because for me, I had to wake up and put something in, like I had to, no matter what it was. So like that attitude I had to change. Like, so I recommend that to people sometimes, because, you know, I've worked inpatient, I've been a residential counselor and a recovery coach with people in outpatient programs, stuff like that. You know, and they asked me, you know, should I get on it? I said, well, look, let's try to change the behavior behind waking up and needing to take something. You know, like if you truly want to do this, why don't we just take to the doctor for one shot a month? Because if I was, you know, possibly, who knows, God knows, if maybe back then I was able to just get a shot once a month instead of relying on waking up and taking something out of a prescription bottle, which was one of my problems all along, and stayed in that same mindset and behavior, things might have been different, you know? So yeah, I mean, those options are there. So like, people don't always have to think, oh, I got to take this. Like, no, you don't. There's other options. Like, explore your options, see what best suits your needs, as long as your focus is on actually working it, and just simply as a tool with the rest of the things that you need to do, you know, recovery wise. You know, explore your options, talk to your doctor, and yeah, so that's
All right. Yes, absolutely. I'm going to move to you, Erin, and I'm going to go a little bit of a different direction. You have a little over 6 months, yes?
Yes.
Okay, first of all,
thank you.
But, you know, as the youngest, if somebody, you know, I know you're not on MAT, but, you know, you have the viewpoint of somebody who came off of a hell of an addiction. And by the way, every single person on here, their stories are on the podcast, and they all have some powerful, amazing stories of addiction recovery. So, you know, Erin, you came off this, you know, you fought addiction or you were in addiction, I guess, for a long time and fought to get out of it. You know, and as somebody who's worked their ass off for 6 months, how would it affect you still being fairly new if it was you and somebody was discouraging your recovery? I mean, I think it would, the people who've been in recovery longer, we might have a little bit of a thicker skin, but people in early recovery, I don't know about anybody else, but I was sensitive. Like, I was sensitive.
Yes, all the emotions, girl, feeling all those feels that we did not feel for so long because we did not want to feel them. Right. They're all coming up. But no, I 100% agree. It makes people second guess what they're doing. 100%. I've actually had, there's a lot of young in recovery people that I speak to, and I've had a few actually say, am I doing this right? Am I doing what I'm supposed to? Like, somebody was talking, I think she was off of everything, and someone was talking about, I can't even remember what it was, but she questioned. She questioned, am I doing this right? And it put her into a full-blown seizure on my Zoom meeting. It just, I don't think it's right for anybody to tell anybody what to do, because as we say, everybody's recovery looks different. There's so many things that I did. I did a Suboxone taper at first to help get off of it. I couldn't. I am a weenie. I cannot just go cold turkey. Hell no, I'm not doing it. Ain't happening, because I'm going right back to it. Because I don't want to feel like that. But I needed that, and that's what worked for me. That may not work for somebody else. But what works for me is not always going to work. Everybody's is different. I don't believe that it should matter to me what somebody else is doing to keep themselves clean. They're fucking staying clean. Excuse me. They're staying clean. Right. I don't think anybody should tell anybody what to do. Nobody should come for anybody else. We're all supposed to be doing this together and lifting people up instead of tearing people down. And just because the NA way abstinence works for me, that's just what works for me right now. That's not what works for half the people in here. Mine doesn't look like everybody else's in here, and yours doesn't look like mine. And there's never really going to be a time where we have too many people in the same spot. It's just not going to work like that.
Right.
But absolutely, the emotions are freaking high. They're all over the damn place. You're crying 1 minute, you're happy 1 minute, you're insane 1 minute, and somebody telling you something crazy. I know somebody told me one time to just go overdose. Like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, who says shit like that? Like,
right.
It's disgusting. It's disgusting. And we shouldn't be judging anybody else. If that's how you get clean, have at it.
And we live
I don't
in a
care
world right now with a lot of keyboard warriors who are very brave behind a screen.
I'm gonna tell you what, I am 5 foot nothing. I would love to see them say that shit to my face. Then we really have a problem. Okay.
Right. It's like, I was not, you could take one look at me and be like, yeah, she was never that gangsta drug user. Like, I just wasn't, right? I was the little girlfriend, from the suburbs, sending the boyfriend, sitting in the car in the middle of
don't I look innocent?
I hope nobody looks at me, but it's like, you would not talk crap to half the people that are in recovery. I wouldn't talk crap to half the people. I might get a little bit of a pass being that I was an addict, even if I was, like you said, even if I was a weenie one, the silver spoon kid who got into addiction. But no, I would not come at these people, and neither would half the people. If anybody's watching on TikTok or Facebook and they've had to deal with this, just remember, it's a keyboard warrior, it's a troll. Half of them would not say it to your face.
Yeah. In the beginning, for me, like you said, like, I wanted to fight back at everybody. I wanted to defend myself. And then I'm just like, for what? I'm never going to see half these people anyway. They're never going to speak to me again. Like, it just doesn't matter. Who cares? Just keep it moving.
Exactly. So Sal, you're up. So what do you, I mean, just weigh in. What do you think when, you know, people are telling people who are on MAT or harm reduction, or, because, you know, we've got to throw it all in together. There is, you know, and I don't use her name because I don't know if she wants me to. I haven't asked. So there is a young lady on TikTok who, I mean, you can look at her and you can see she's healthy. She's living her life. You know, she's not hurting her parents anymore. She's not in danger of death. She's not lying. She's not stealing. And she went from being an IV heroin user to marijuana maintenance. So, you know, when I say, yeah, we started with Matt, but I'm just going to say any form, you know, of harm reduction or medicinally, is it medicinally or medically? I always say it wrong. I know Nichole said it, and it was different from how I say it.
Medicinal.
Medically assisted treatment, but then I think they call marijuana maintenance medical marijuana, right?
Okay, yeah, that's what I mean. There's so much. So Sal, back to Sal. Anybody who is on harm reduction or MAT or whatever, and, you know, somebody actually said, I don't know if it was to Nichole or whoever it was, but, you know, the day you come off that, that's day one. So you're trying to tell her, you know, it hasn't been since what, 2015? So she, you know, so when you come off of it in 2024 or whatever, I'm just making crap up. That's your day one. What do you think about that, Sal?
I think that person heard it from another person that heard it from another person that heard it from another person, you know, and so it's like, it's that trickle effect that people are listening to other people, but in reality, that person is not in charge of Nicole's recovery, my recovery, Erin's recovery, or Mike's recovery, or yours, you know? So at the end of the day, it's, if I'm okay with self and I'm living my life and I'm not doing what I used to do before, I'm okay with it. And I don't give a shit what you think. Like, but because we live and we work on TikTok. It's not just a social media app.
Right.
We're working, you know, and we're helping people, and we run into these people daily, you know, whether it's in the DM, in the live, or someone commenting on our videos, you know, and you just have to take a breath. And for me, like, I pray for that person. And what ends up happening more often than not is that person later on down the road is going to reach out to you and say, hey, how did you do it? You know, how'd you get to where you are now? And so there's a prime example of that actually happened on TikTok, and I won't mention their name, but, you know, someone asked me questions. I gave them the tough love of the reality of the situation. That person blocked me, called me names, and now tells me that they love me. You know what I mean? So I just try to stay consistent with the message of you know, of recovery, and that message is this. She's going to turn the light off. Sorry, my daughter. The only requirement is a desire.
Right.
And I stick with that.
Exactly. Thanks, Sal. All right, Nichole, back to you. Our next question was, and I can understand why people would want to know this. How do you handle it when you get these nasty comments, or like the troll that we all at one point probably dealt with over the last like week and a half, or, you know, how do you deal with it? You know, how do you deal with it? And I'm going to ask you too, Erin, because you're going to have a different perspective.
So when I first started sharing about being on Suboxone, it really hurt me. Like, it affected me bad. I thought, I'm never going to tell my story again. I deleted my Facebook. This is back in 2016. And I was like, screw this. I'm not even going to try to help people. I'm just going to stop doing this. And it really affected me. But what happened was that lit a fire in my ass to get educated and learn everything I could about medication assisted treatment. And so now when people come at me, I come out with them with facts and education. And I can literally argue somebody like till the cows come home about teaching them and trying to help them understand where I'm coming from and my experience with medication assisted treatment. And so sometimes I get a little out of pocket on TikTok where I'll respond to a comment, but I don't ever like cuss anybody out or like that. It's always like I'm coming at them with like the facts about being on Suboxone long term and how it's changed my life. And the proof is within me and what in my life and what I'm doing now and having my son back. And so you can't really argue that my life hasn't totally changed. You know what I mean? So I try to educate people when they are commenting. And a lot of the times it's because people don't understand. They have a misconception. They think when they hear the word medication assisted treatment, they think that they're thinking old school. Okay. So back in the methadone days when people were taking methadone and taking Xanax with it and being nodded out all the time. And that is their conception is that, oh, well, this is just like that, you know, and it's not. I support all medication assisted treatment, but Suboxone is different than methadone because it's a partial opioid agonist. It's not a full, and it reaches a ceiling effect in your system. So like with methadone, you can keep going up and taking more and taking more. I could take 6 Suboxone strips right now and it's not going to do anything to me but give me a headache, man. It's not going to be a good experience.
Right.
And that's what I don't think people understand. Really, the only way that you can take Suboxone and abuse it is if you're diverting your medication, not taking it every day, or trying to shoot it up or something like that, you know, and that's what I don't think people understand is that taking it every day, you don't feel anything. It's absolute. I have no effect from it whatsoever. And that's why I try to help people to understand, because I think that they have a misunderstanding, you know what I mean? But back when I was first on it and I first got, you know, into my recovery, it really caused me a lot of harm. And I almost got off of Suboxone my first year because I was so upset and I was being judged by so many people. And I want to say something like, I know a lot of people are in the 12 steps, but a lot of people don't work the 12 steps. A lot of people aren't in those programs. And that's the thing is like, we automatically assume that everybody is in a 12-step program, but that's not. There's so many new programs now that people are joining. And so that whole like that assumption that abstinence is the goal and that everybody's trying to make it to that's because we've only been taught that one way in 12 steps, you know. And I was taught that way too. So that's why it took me so long to adjust to being on Suboxone and accept my own recovery, because I was trying to do what everyone else told me to do because I wanted validation. I wanted other people to tell me, yeah, Nichole, you're doing a good job. You're sober. I'm proud of you, you know, and I had to become okay with myself and not look for that approval from other people, which is still hard because I still struggle with that because I'm a human being. You know what I mean?
Right. So I want to, I'm going to change it up a little bit. I want to move to Erin because not necessarily Matt, you know, but because you are 6 months in and, you know, we were talking about all the feels and you touched on it a little bit about, I want you to go into, because there's going to be other people on TikTok or wherever who are new. Their emotions are everywhere. And whether they're on, you know, MAT or harm reduction or 12-step abstinence, somebody commenting something, you know, they finally decide, they see us and they're like, okay, I'm going to put myself out there. And some asshat comments, you know, I hope you overdose, or why did you make that choice anyway? And these things hit hard. I mean, the choice that you've all seen the choice thing that just eats my lunch. I can't stand it. That still gets me, right? When you first started putting yourself out there and people came at you and you got negative comments, I want you to talk about how it affected you and it hurt you then, and how do you not let it affect you now? Does that make sense?
Yep, it does.
Okay.
Yeah, so it took me a little while to do anything on TikTok, honestly. And then when I finally did, it's crazy because people can do the same. You can do the same exact thing somebody else does, and then you just get hate central where they got nothing, you know? One of my very first ones was I was doing like my thing for drug court, and oh man, did that sucker blow up with some serious hate. And I just wanted to go at everybody. I was pissed. Like I was an angry person. It didn't make me cry or anything like that. Like I wanted to take a baseball bat and go find where all these people lived. It really pissed me off because I cared too much what other people thought, way too much.
I think we all go through that angry phase a little bit at the beginning.
Yeah. So I really cared way too much what people thought. That was my problem. You know, it was just anger for me. It really wasn't anything else. I'm like, who are these people? Why are they sitting here talking about me? Like, if you don't like it, go somewhere else. Like, find something else to look at. But no, you got to stop here and say some shit. So yeah, I was angry about it all. And I got a lot of hate, and I would come back at them, and I did a video to one, and it was like, fuck you, which got taken down due to, got community guidelines. Of course, but their comment to me that was just as shitty did not. So, it's just that whole thing. However, now it has changed so much for me, and I don't know why. I guess, I try to really be supportive of everybody. I don't really get a lot of hate anymore at all.
Yeah, they tend to give up.
Yeah, I think so, because if you don't give it any fire, and this is what I've tried to tell people, because I've had people ask me, like, what do you do when this happens? You don't give it any fuel. Don't add any fuel to the fire. If you do not respond to them, then they're obviously eventually going to give up. And that's pretty much, I think, really what happened, because I honestly don't get much hate, and I post like real stuff. Like I post my emotions. I will post when I'm crying. I post when I'm happy. Whatever. I put it on there, and I really don't get any hate. It's a lot of love these days, and I love that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it really is.
Awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Mike, so just kind of in general with, we're doing a lot of the Recover Out Loud, and, people are telling their stories, and, it just sounds so, to me, it still sounds so silly. It's not, but, people think social media, and they're like, okay, social TikTok. All right. But the recovery community on TikTok is amazing. I mean, for the most part, when you have thousands of people in one place, you're going to get a little bit of drama. But for the most part, it's supportive, and it's helping people, and it's reaching people. I know, I'll put money that every one of us on here has gotten a comment or a message talk about how you've helped me so much. You've saved my life. I have a week clean because of you, et cetera, et cetera. And so, Mike, what do you say to somebody who might still be, kind of in the shadows, wants to participate, but is afraid of the hate, is afraid of being judged? What do you say to them?
And I just want to real quick touch on, the comments and the hate and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I surprisingly don't get much. I've gotten a little bit here and there.
Dude, look, I think who is going to come at you?
Yeah. But that's the thing. They're behind the screen, right?
Right.
So like, that's the thing. And you can voice your opinion. That's okay. Listen, I appreciate your opinion. And listen, I've had to tame my tongue on many occasions, or my fingers, or whatever you want to call it. Right. But and if it comes up, I try my best to respond in an educational way. You know, and like Nichole said, it's like this old way of recovery, this old way of thinking, and people are fixated on that when times changed, drugs have changed, like everything has changed. It's a whole new game out there now. And, you know, like, and so listen, I'll be the first to tell you, like, I'm spiritual, but I'm still hood. So like, that means like, pray with me, don't play with me. You know what I mean? Like, I
on that all the time.
yeah, I'm telling you, like, that's my favorite thing, seriously. And I try my best. But if but I'm going to voice my opinion back to you. You know what I mean? Sometimes I just won't even give it the time or the effort it takes. But I feel like sometimes I feel like things do need to be said. And if they're coming from an ignorant place and saying these things from an uneducated aspect, you know, I try my best to at least make them try to think differently, at least maybe have them a little more open-minded to possibly change their perspective. If they don't, whatever, that's it.
Right.
You know, like I had a video out and had when I lost someone from an overdose that I was personally working with not too long ago, and died from overdose. And, you know, I was really going through it. It really hit home for me with this one. And, you know, because it continuously happens, it's going to continue to happen, but this one really hit home. And, you know, on that video I made, because I'm just like Erin, like I put what I'm going through up there in post, because I want people to know that they're not alone if they feel that same way. Because I suffer from severe mental health and PTSD also. So when I'm going through those moments, I'll make posts about it and be vulnerable and do that, because I want people to know that they're not alone, no matter how much time they got, no matter where they are. Like, it doesn't matter. There are other people that suffer from it, and just let them know that I'm here too. And if you want to talk about it, let's talk about it. But and so, yeah, what was your original question? I'm sorry, I went on a rant.
That's okay. I was to the people who are afraid of those comments.
Oh yeah.
know?
So I mean,
What do you
listen,
think?
for me, you know, I have to recover out loud. I have to. And luckily I'm in a position and in the field of where that's okay. You know, if anything, it brings value to the table of what I do anyway. You know, not everyone's in that situation. Some people are in professions where it's looked down upon. You know, things like, so I can understand their anonymity and not want to speak about it, not want to talk about it. For me, just what I went through and the depths that I've been to and just the hell that I've been through and all the pain, like I had to turn that pain into purpose and turn around, and I have to use that, and I have to use the voice that I've been given. Like, you know, most part of my, you know my whole story. You know, and my voice was literally taken from me. I couldn't walk, talk, or write. So like, now that I'm able to do all these things, I've been able to take all these things and completely change them into a positive way, and not care, frankly, not give a shit about what anybody says, because I know if I can reach that one, I've done my job. You know what I mean? And those comments that we do get, that's what it's all about. South said it, like, it becomes work on TikTok. It truly does. You know what I mean? It's not like just posting for fun anymore, because the DMs are insane. My my email's nuts. Like, it's really hard to keep up. But those little comments you get that say, you know, thank you, it's because of you I'm at 7 days, or thank you, I made the decision to go to treatment tomorrow. Like, that's what it's about. And if anyone's struggling with even opening up about it, but see us on there, on that platform where it had to have Zoom meetings, like, just show up, stop in the lives, just listen. You don't even have to comment. You know, just see what we do and see how, like, we're having fun still and we're helping others. Like, and people are, and they might see someone that they personally relate to in their exact situation that's talking about it, and see how a whole group will just shut down a conversation and just swarm them with love and help them overcome that situation. And I think them seeing that is a game changer. So like, what I would say to those people is, it's okay. Like, if you're uncomfortable, it's okay. Just show up, just suit up and show up, see what others have to say. Pop in on a Zoom, keep your screen off, stay muted, whatever you want to do, and just listen and see what happens. You know, that's really what my best suggestion would be, is just show up and give it a shot. Like, if you ever want to talk about it, you don't have to talk about it on a big platform. Like, I know most of us, we put our emails out there, we put phone numbers out there, like, to personally reach out and speak one-on-one. It doesn't have to be, you know, blown up by social media or put on the internet. Like, I'll gladly take a phone call or a text message or an email and speak to someone on a one-on-one basis, completely confidential, you know?
Exactly. And I've noticed too, and I think you said something about this a few sentences back. If somebody talks crap, say on a post Nichole makes. Okay. Nichole doesn't really have to say anything because about 20 other recovering addicts are going to swarm in on her page
So true.
and do it for her, you know,
So true.
because it's a family, it's a support system, you know, and yeah, you know what, I'm going to move over to Sal, and same question about the comments, Sal. But also I want you to talk about, because we talked about this earlier, whatever you're doing, whatever recovery you are in, the support system. I want you to talk about having the support system. But if you want to weigh in on the comments thing, feel free to do that also.
As far as the comments are concerned, I get tagged in comments all the time, good, bad, or different. And, you know, sometimes I'll just hit the little heart button and keep my little butt going, you know, because like people have said already, not everything merits a response. But I love the come ups, and like you said, people will swarm in and answer for them because of the love, and it's literally changed my life. So support system goes like this. In my house, my wife supports my recovery. She gave me the tough love I needed. My mom was an enabler. My family is full of addicts and people that are severely chemically imbalanced with depression and other issues. I am the only one in recovery aside from my uncle, who's he just quit, just up and put Budweiser down. 30 years later, he's sober and nothing else. I don't get his kind.
People are amazing, aren't they? Like, what is this magic?
I'm done.
Right.
Argument with my wife, you know, maybe she threatened that she wouldn't make his favorite pasta anymore. I don't know. But you know, the support is huge. I think, and what I see, a lot of people on social media, they don't have it, and so they need us. They need us to support them. And so, like, somebody will type something to me in my DM, and I'm like, I love you. Like, I have to tell them, because I'm trying to give away what was so freely given, and someone may have not heard those words in so long. And then what I do is I follow those words up with action. So now I'm trying to be their support system and be their cheerleader, and do everything I can within my power to help that person gain what I've gained and what we've gained in recovery. But yeah, in my immediate household, you know, my wife gave me tough love and an ultimatum, you know, and that scared me straight. I didn't want to be divorced, and I was willing to do whatever it took, you know, and
yeah, that
support is huge.
Let's just, that woman's a saint. I know your story. He's awesome. Yes.
But I it's unfortunate for the people who don't have support, you know, whether they've burned all their bridges or they don't even have family left. You know, maybe they've all passed on. You know, there's no start or stop age of coming into recovery. You know, so you can be 70 years old and want to get this thing, and you could be, I've seen as people as young as 13, 14 years old get this thing.
Right.
And so, yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah, support systems are huge, and networks, you know, I always encourage people to reach out, you know, to the people, especially on social media, because think of it like this: we had to adjust our recovery because of the pandemic. And so we went, you know, in my case, I went from the rooms to the Zooms. I say it all the time. Like, I went from rooms to Zooms, and I just started typing on the internet, Zoom meetings for 24 hours. And I would jump in, and then I inadvertently got on TikTok because of my kids. They had it and I got it, and then I found you guys, and you know, the rest is history. I mean, I am 100% on fire for recovery, more than I have ever been. And more than 7 years. Maybe my first year because, but like we've talked about before, that pink cloud never has to end. It doesn't have to end, and I found it again.
And the more people you have around you, everybody's not going to be down and going through crap at the same time. So when you're going through something, there are going to be all these people. I mean, if I made a video right now, or even a post on Facebook that said, I'm feeling like drinking, I'm feeling this, I guarantee you I will get so many comments and so many DMs and, just telling me why I shouldn't and how much I'm worth. And it's amazing. People laugh at social media, but it can be, if you use it right, a powerful, powerful tool. It really can. And, something you said, Sal, reminded me of something that I would hear when I was in NA all the time. I am not in a 12-step program, but you guys know I love 12-step. I love all the programs. I'm pretty easy to please. But they would say, all the time, we will love you until you learn to love yourself. And I think that is so powerful. So powerful. Like, we will fill the gap until you figure out how to do it yourself. And that's awesome. It's awesome. That is just so powerful. It gives me goosebumps. So it is about 8:26. So what I'm going to do is we're just going to go right down the line, like Nicole, Mike, Erin, Sal. And I just want any final thoughts, whether it's on TikTok recovery, you want to say something to, newcomers or people in recovery, MAT, whatever it is, just some final thoughts before we go. Go ahead, Nicole.
Don't let anybody discourage you from reaching out and doing what works for you. And if you're somebody that's in medication assisted treatment, there's a really awesome program called MERA, Medication Assisted Recovery Anonymous. And it's a new 12-step. We have 12 steps and 12 traditions, but we're not like affiliated with Alcoholics Anonymous or Narcotics Anonymous. But there's like 2 to 3 Zoom meetings every single night, and there's meetings in real life almost in all 50 states, I think. And so all you got to do is go to merainternational.org and you guys can check out those meetings, or you can message me and I can send you the link if you need it. But just do what works for you and don't worry about what other people think, because at the end of the day, they don't have to live your life. So that's all.
Amen. Yes. All right, Mike, your turn.
So, I would just say, like Nicole said, don't let anybody, listen, if anyone has an expectation of how they think you should recover or where they think you should go, or look, these people are saying it from the sidelines, or the 700 level in the bleachers, like, they don't have to walk in your shoes. You live in your skin. You need to do what works for you, whatever that may be. Try your best, not to let the judgment, if there is any, discourage you from finding you and who you authentically are, and love yourself. That's what really it's about. And just to remind people that, recovery is a marathon. It's not a race. It doesn't have a finish line. It just doesn't, and really it's not. And don't compare yourself and also, eliminate the word just out of your vocabulary. Like, I just have 7 days. No, that's a huge fucking accomplishment, period. Like, if you got a day, that's huge. You don't just have a day, you have a day. Like, that's amazing. That's an accomplishment, especially from where most of us come from. And don't compare your recovery to anyone else's either. It's your path, not anyone else's. Stay in your lane. Don't pay attention to the person that's a mile ahead of you, because it doesn't matter. Just focus on your next step, and that's it. And just stay plugged in. And build a strong support network and a foundation. My foundation, was crumbled and cracked, and that's where, my disease seeps through. And, but it's also those same cracks that God shines his light through, that came through and got me to where I am. And it's because of people in these programs and outside of these programs that just truly, genuinely care and want to see you do better. And those are the people that I need to surround myself with. And I recommend you guys do the same.
Well said. Well said. All right, Erin.
I'm going to go with a little bit of the cliches here, since I am NA queen.
They're cliches for a reason.
I would say stick with the winners, stick and stay, stick in the get in the middle. Find people that have what you want. Do not worry about what people think or that judge you for the way you do your recovery, because that's something within them. That's not something for you to carry.
Yeah.
So keep moving forward. Do not look back. Remember that past, but don't live there. And for God's sakes, if you are feeling a certain type of way, please don't think you are burdening somebody else. Reach out to somebody, because chances are you are reaching out to somebody for a reason, and that's probably to get them out of themselves to help you. Do not think you're a burden, because you're not. That is why we're all here, to help each other. Reach out if you have a problem, feel like using, if there's something going on, talking about it. Sal always says this, and I steal it from him all the time. It dies in the light of exposure. Let that shit out.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And if nobody's told you all today, I love you, ain't a damn thing you can do about it.
Nice. All right, Sal, final thoughts.
Well, I had all this time to think about it, and now I'm like, we love you. All of you that are watching, all of you that are going to watch, we'll meet you where you are. We've been there. We've done that. I always try and tell people to remember of being a child before their drug habit, to release and find that inner child. Because I think in the end of the day, that's all we ever want, is that happiness to come out and showcase itself. And each and every day, just try your best, if you can, to be the most authentic version of you. And for all of you that are watching right now and to watch in the future, hopefully you've survived 100% of your worst days. If you're watching right now, you have. And with that, peace out.
Thank you so much. Nichole, Mike, Sal, Erin, thank you all so much for being here. Everybody on the live stream, thank you so much for watching. Everybody on the TikTok live facing the computer, thank you so much for sticking it out. And that is going to do it for our very first round table on the recovery scene. It was awesome. Thank you all so much.